Hey everybody, it's Margot.
Guys, I'm such a fucking actress.
And Lydia.
Strong black woman over here.
But you already know why we're here.
Pop off, sis.
I went commando on public transportation, huh?
Oh my god.
I love a good lazy river because I'm lazy and I like water.
Pop off, sis.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of hungover right now.
The content you may not want but deserve.
Pop off.
I think I popped off about that.
You popped off.
Pop off, sis!
Welcome back. Hello everyone. Welcome back. How are you doing? We have missed you so much. We have a very exciting guest episode today that we can't wait to get into. So it's time for us to just jump on into our roses of the week. Lydia, tell me about your rose.
Whew, my rose, it's a pretty big rose, I'm not gonna lie. It's blooming, it's blossoming right now. But my news is I recently just accepted a job here in Maryland. I am employed, everyone, finally.
We love an employed lady. We love to see it. Yes.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'll be here in Maryland, and it is in politics. It's in the Senate. I won't get too specific. I haven't read our social media policies and whatnot yet, but I'm very excited. I have always been someone that's, you can tell from this podcast, I love current events. I love talking about issues and trying to figure out how I can help people in some way. So this is definitely going to be a way to do that. And I'm very grateful. We're in the middle of a pandemic and I was able to find employment. So I know that is a hurdle in and of itself. So yes, so that is my rose this week. I'm excited to get started.
Well, that is so amazing. I'm so excited and proud of you. And I'd just like to say that you are literally glowing right now, as in there is literally a stray of light coming across your face. So if that's not enough to tell you that the universe is loving this for you, then I don't know what is, because you are glowing.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, what do you have for us this week? What's going on?
Well, my rose is actually like a rose of right now, as in I just came in from a 3.5-hour hike that I did in upstate New York. And it was super fun. And I had to climb. It was literally like rock climbing, but with no harness. Some parts were a little scary. My little fear of heights came into play, but it was really amazing. And although I smell horrendous right now, I'm just happy to be here and happy to have been one with nature for a little bit.
That's a great way to get outside, do something new, especially when we're all indoors. So that's awesome. And I'm glad you made it back alive and in one piece.
Thank
you. Woo! Let's get into what's popping, okay? All right, let's just start with the negative because we always like to end on the positive, of course. So, we got the Republican National Convention happening recently. It is what it was. It is what it is. And yeah, after we had that DNC just go so amazing and being so inspiring and just filling our souls, we had to have the RNC. But you know what? Of course, the final judge and jury will be on November 3rd. So that's what's not popping. Let's get into what's popping. What do you got for us?
Okay, well, I just started this show. It's not a new show. They just released the second season, but it's called Umbrella Academy. And I'd heard some stuff about it. But I also heard it was like a kid's show or something. So I was like, no, I'm not going to watch it. But I watched it on the train up here to New York, and I've only seen the first episode. So I'm really just basing this off the pilot, but it was so good. Like, people tell me it's a knockoff of the X-Men, but I think X-Men has nothing on this. It was good. It was funny. It was a little scary. It was exciting. There were superpowers. There was family drama. I mean, what more could you possibly want from a TV show? I don't know. So for me, that is what's happening this week.
I gotta check that out. So many people have recommended that show.
Very good.
Okay. also on Netflix that is very poppin', and one of the great things to come out of on a basic level what we can do in terms of Black Lives Matter and everything going on is that some classic timeless 90s Black sitcoms have made their Netflix debut. I'm talking about Girlfriends with Tracy Ellis Ross. I'm talking about Moesha with Brandy, okay? I'm talking about, what else? We got a freaking, what else? Oh, we got The Game, which I'm on season 1 right now. The Game is a great show that is about the NFL, but it's like from the standpoint of the girlfriends and the wives. And it's really interesting drama, but it's fictional, so it's not a reality show. Point is, some great representation on Netflix. So go check out some of those. You can binge them. All the seasons are out. So that's also very popping.
We love it.
Now, I don't even know how to introduce this person. I don't even know. How do we begin, Margot? What do we do?
I mean, this person, we've been wanting to have them on our podcast since the beginning, since the very beginning, when we were thinking, oh, who would make a good guest on a podcast? We were like, this individual has what it takes to be an exquisite podcast guest. So, Lydia, please do the honors of officially introducing who we've got on the podcast today.
Well, I know you're going to fall in love with them as quickly as possible because it took us 2 seconds to, but today on this podcast, we have Jaime Martin Ko.
Hello, ladies. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And hello to everybody listening today. Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, of course. Thank you for coming on. We literally knew we wanted to have you on, like we said, from the beginning. Before we even had something to talk to you about, we were like, whatever, it's going to be great because it's Jaime. So thank you for being here. How are you? How's everything?
Oh my God, thank you for asking. Everything has been, as you can tell, I'm president at times. If I could take a shot for every time I've heard that, it'd be over. No, but it's been really great. Just like things are doing really well. I'm still at home in Maryland, just, graduated from UMD and just trying to, just get my life started. Aside from, of course, writing my book and trying to publish in December, I've been working full-time for my full-time job at PepsiCo. So that's just been kind of like my day-to-day, just my 9 to 8. Actually, it's not even 9 to 5. If you get supply chain disruption, not a fun topic. Don't need to get there. Don't need to project that negativity onto the listeners today. But I'm excited to have this fun conversation. Just really happy to be here and have this like refreshing, beautiful day out right now. As you can see outside, the sun, feeling the sun, the energy, nature, Mother Nature is just so nice today. And just trying to enjoy, the weekend. So how are y'all doing?
Amazing. Good.
We're good.
Good.
Well, we've known Jaime since freshman year of college, so we all went to UMD. As he said, he just graduated, so congrats to you, graduating class of 2020.
Thank you. And congrats to you too, Lydia.
Thank you. I know, thank you. Yes, this isn't about me.
Yeah, here to go. Cool.
Remind us because we all lived together. Not together, but we lived in the same dorm freshman year. What floor were you on?
Oh gosh, these were the La Plata days for anybody to go to UMD and lived on North Campus, La Plata Hall, OG days. I think I lived on the 4th floor. Okay. If I remember, okay. I was definitely on the 4th floor, but I was always visiting you and Margot on the 7th floor, right? Was it the 7th floor?
Yes, LP7.
LP7, I did not fuck with my floor. There were like 5 people that were like my only friends on LP4, but LP7 was like my honorary dorm floor. I was always taking the elevator to hang out with my lovely ladies of the podcast, Miss Lydia, Margot, everyone. It was just like such a great time. So I do miss those days a lot.
I know. One of
Me
my
too.
most vivid memories is literally like 2 a.m. and me and Jamie belting out Rent at the top of our lungs in the lounge.
Yes, we did.
Margot, I don't know
Those are
where you
so
were
fun.
because you would have lived for that moment.
I don't know. I was probably drunk somewhere, TBH.
Oh gosh.
Those freshman year days,
Ugh.
or more like the nights. But yeah, Jamie has always been such a ray of positivity. Every time they came to
Oh.
our floor, they brought the party, they brought the tea. The tea was always scalding with Jamie, and they brought the good time.
Yeah, I don't know, Margot, what you would say about this, but I feel like Jamie is one of those people that really has one of the best memories I've ever witnessed. Like, to me, listening and remembering little things about a person is like a big quality for me. And Jamie, no matter where you were in life, he would remember like, oh yeah, last week you had the phone call with it. How did that go? Did it, like something so minuscule, even if you haven't seen him for months, he'll like remember something from back then. And there was the running joke, we couldn't walk anywhere on campus with Jamie because we'd stop every 5 seconds.
Yes! If you went to the diner with Jamie,
Oh,
you would be
gosh.
stopped a million times. Everyone would flock to your table, but it was the best.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
our mini
you-
campus
these
celebrities.
kind words, y'all are too kind, too sweet. Yeah, Rona, not with Rona. I think honestly, I don't know how that would have worked out. But I really, wow, that means a lot to me. I love you both so much, and to hear these words, just like it makes my heart full. So
No, you need to hear it because you're always putting out so much for everyone else that we want to make sure that you know how special you are. So
that means a lot to me. Thank you.
As much as we love to brag about you, you are here for a specific reason today because you have a very exciting moment in your life happening where you are releasing a book, which is so
Yes,
incredibly exciting. So first things first, tell us what the name of the book is, what it's about. Let's start there, and then we'll dive a little deeper.
Oh, absolutely, Margot. Yes. I'm ready to pop off with the tea with my sisters today to just spill the tea on the book. So my book is called Mala and the Mask of Gold. It's a working title, will for surely be like the working title and everything. I don't have any other name for it right now, but working with my publisher to really do a lot of revising with the cover and everything with the name. But for now, it's Mala and the Mask of Gold. It's set to publish in December 2020. And really it's about, a quick synopsis. It's about these two heroes who are siblings, and they're from the pre-colonial Philippines at the time. And it really explores their adventure to find this quest of this mask of gold. Right, I don't want to give too much tea and details, right, about like why they're going to find this mask of gold, like what does mask of gold means. But really, the point of the book is that it explores, my cultural folklore mythology, something that I've always loved to read. Like I love to read books like Rick Riordan, right, in his Percy Jackson series. But I think for me, like I've always wanted to see a hero that looked like me, or at least like celebrated my culture. And also the book explores themes of LGBTQ plus themes, which I don't really see that much in literature and in young adult fantasy books. So that's a little bit about my book, and hopefully that has hooked in some of the listeners listening in today if they're interested.
amazing. That is, we are hooked. We are in. We are ready for December 2020. Oh,
Yes.
And I just want to talk a little more about the inspiration behind it. I know you said the pre-colonial Philippines, and that goes back to your own personal history, your roots. And did you always know if you were going to write a book, okay, I want to make sure I focus on my own heritage, or that was just something that kind of naturally happened?
Right, and that's a really great question, Lydia. A lot of reasons why I wrote this book. I would say at first, like, I didn't know I wanted to write a book about my culture, right? And I think that stems from just like, I didn't even know I wanted to write a book 2 years ago. And really the biggest thing was like, I realized, like I took a class at UMD, it's called an LGBT history, it was an LGBT literature class. And when I read those books from queer authors, works from like James Baldwin, Audre Lorde, they were really powerful to me. And I knew one day, like, reading these books inspired me. a lot to not only pursue an education in LGBTQ plus studies, but to really be an advocate for my community. And so I knew from the get-go, I wanted to write a book about something that in relation to LGBTQ plus themes and theory. It could be like a fantasy book, right, about it, and or it could be something about like, you know, just history or just like anything educating about the LGBTQ plus community. But at the time I didn't know, you know, how I was going to do that, how I was going to use that medium to relay a story that had to deal with LGBT plus themes. When I started, you know, researching into the type of book I wanted to write, I started falling in love with Filipinx and Filipino culture. I started learning a lot more and really going back into my roots, into my ancestry, into the magic that exists in the Philippines before colonization. And it was really something that was beautiful to me. And so I realized there was a diversity gap, not just in LGBT plus literature, right, in the US and in the Philippines, but also just about Filipinx identity, right, and Asian American identity and what that means, right? And so for me as an immigrant from the Philippines, I really wanted to, you know, rep my set. I wanted to write a story about the Philippines, you know, and explore the mythology, the gods, the goddesses, the deities. And there is this rich history of LGBTQ plus stories and themes from the past that I didn't even know about, right? So I was like, wow, like we were really queer back then. My people were queer, and now it's like, you know, now we're treated like these, you know, like we're treated like less than, you know, like we're a minority group globally, right? If we're gender non-conforming or trans, it's just like, it just boggles my mind how that has shifted and changed throughout time when in the past we were celebrated. And so that's what really inspired me to write this book and to really hopefully reach out to, you know, people our age in college, to inspire them to write, children who are young adults or in high school or who are younger, in their preteens or teens, to, you know, read this type of story and see themselves represented and see themselves in a powerful light that is celebrated, and hopefully change, you know, how society views my people, my culture, and my community, whether that's Filipinos, Filipinxs, or the LGBT plus community at large. So I hope that answered your question. Kind of went too deep there, but yeah.
No, that's amazing.
No, that was amazing.
Oh,
Cool.
it's more like we're just like, we have to soak it in because everything you say is so valuable that we're like, wow.
Oh my God.
And I feel
Cool.
like just going in and writing a book like that, to having seen that there was a lack of representation, like that, there is so much power in that, and knowing that the story that you're sharing could be like, could go to young people who were like you, who didn't see themselves when they were growing up in literature, like Percy Jackson, if we're talking about Rick Riordan. I don't remember really there being much diversity at all in that series. So I mean, I love that series, but it's very true. And so like that is like such an inspiration to the youth, but not just the youth. Like you said, like if people are reading this in college too, like you read LGBTQ plus literature in college, it can really change your life and really inspire you and make you feel seen in a way that is lacking right now. So that's really amazing.
Oh, thank you, Margot. That means a lot to me. And from what I remember from reading the books, Rick Riordan definitely, he did try his best to add diversity when he could, when he can. He did have some really great heroes. I would say like Hazel, and he had like one queer character that was like Nico. But of course,
I do remember that.
It explored like Greek mythology, so it was very much like still not a story that is representative of my culture, right? At the end of the day, like I'm not Greek, you know. I love the Greek. We all love the Greek gods. But there is, you know, the power of also sharing something from my culture, as to say. But Rick Riordan is one of my inspirations, for sure. I will say that. I do want to, you know, owe that to him in that sense, where he did inspire me to pursue a novel like this as well. I hope to one day meet him. So cool.
And that's knowing that representation, you know, you're really just helping even parents that might need a book to show their children, and you know,
absolutely.
So it's gonna influence everyone. And I think the fact that it's a fictional novel, like that's helping to normalize LGBTQ plus in context of, you know, it's not necessarily just you know, you're not writing an autobiography about yourself and your journey, or like you're just putting it in a normal context, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
So that's,
and I wanted to echo that, Lydia, because in my pre-order campaign, I've actually been there are families, right, and mothers who actually bought my book and reached out, and some families bought like 5 copies for all their kids, right? And that to me is like, oh my gosh, like thank you, like that means a lot. And they would like email me And some of these mothers are like, I bought this book because my cousin just came out, right, as gender nonconforming. And I don't really, I wanted to read more into that. And I wanted to gift this book to them because they know, for that means a lot to me. Someone who is buying this book because of that reason, right? And then someone's like, oh my gosh, my daughter just came out as like queer. And like, for me, what does that mean? When this book came out, I really wanted to buy this book to learn more, right? I wanted my daughter to have something that they can read. So exactly like you said, Lydia, this story is doing that job. It is bridging families together, and it is having an opportunity for parents to really find ways to use mediums like literature, right, and stories to connect with their kids, even if they may not understand what it's like to be LGBTQ+. So I'm really happy to, have that and share that with these families who've reached back out to me. The book hasn't even been written out yet, so I'm very excited, once it's published and everything, to see if it's, the results and everything with those families.
So even before all of this amazing writing you've been doing, like, what has your journey been as a writer? Obviously, you said your inspiration to write a book came from wanting to like write more about your heritage and your culture and your community. But was there something specific? Like, how long did this journey, when did it start? Like, did this start during quarantine? Is this like a year-long project? Like, fill us in.
Oh gosh, honestly, y'all, it was the most randomest of things. Like, this actually started, I would say, last year around September. So it's almost been a year, I would say, since I've been working and writing this book, and to have it almost published, like, it just boggles my mind. Because a year ago, I'd be like, I don't even know if I want to write a book, to now where it's like, okay, I'm really in the revising stages of publishing. Like, if anyone can get anything from this process, is you can do it. You can do it. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. But this process definitely happened pre-coronavirus, right? It was like my senior year, fall semester, and I was actually reached out by this person. His name is Professor Eric Cloister from LinkedIn. So he actually reached out to me on LinkedIn. He's a professor at Georgetown, and he runs this program, this book creators program, at Georgetown. And he reached out to me like, hey, I run this book creators program. I would really, I was reading your profile. I've done, so I'm looking into you, and I really would think that you would be great to be one of my authors. Have you ever thought about reading a book? First, I thought it was a scam. I was like, oh girl, I'm just, these LinkedIn messages are nowadays, they say anything. Like, people just do anything in your DMs. But then he was like, here's a link. I was on like ABC 7 News, and I was like, okay, let me actually, and I look at his website, and then I actually saw him on the news, and then I read his website, and I thought the platform was actually really interesting and very untraditional, a very untraditional way of publishing for these days, where it's like, okay, so here's this like program that's open to really, because like when it's like an author, a lot of people can't think like they can be an author because of how hard it is in traditional publishing. Like, how do you even like write a story, find an agent, and then actually find like a publisher to help publish it? So this program is actually like, they work with a hybrid publisher known as New Degree Press, and they're really known for working with startup authors, like authors who've never published before, right? Or who just have always thought of wanting to write a book. So anyone who's like in high school, college, and there are people that I've worked with who are in law school, people who are like 70 years old, 60 years old, who are like, I regret not writing a book when I was younger, and here's my time to do it. And so he had actually asked me around like back in September, like around my birthday, which is coming up, right? Virgo season, which is like all comes back full circle. He was just like, what would, like, he was like, let's just schedule a phone call and let me just, pick your brain really quick. And he asked me like, what would you regret in 10 years, right? Would you regret not trying to write a book? And I told him, I was like, you know what? Now that you got me, hook, line, and sinker, I would regret not trying, right? I would motherfucking regret not trying. Like, and this is the type of person I am. Like, if this fails, whatever. I tried to write a book, and I realized, I can't, not at this time, but maybe later in life, I could do it, right? And then, I really did try. And one of my setbacks was, senior year of college. I was working part-time, and I was trying to, and then I was going to go into a full-time role after college. Like, how the fuck am I going to find time to write a book? And then coronavirus, hits, and you're like, damn, like, what's going on, right? Of course. And of course, the political climate and unrest that we're dealing with right now, and the election, just a lot of stress going on. But thankfully, one of the perks of the program is that they have a really great support system, and that they're very understanding, very flexible, and there's a community of other authors who are in the same boat. And that really did give me the opportunity to start this project and really explore ways in which, I can write a book that really, bridges, a story of this cultural gap that I was seeing in the LGBTQ plus community and the Filipinx, community here in the US and back at home in the Philippines. And so that was really my journey. It started like in September, but we're here now, almost September, getting ready to really, finalize a lot of things, the revisions of the book. And that's kind of it. That's how everything started and everything is now.
Wow. I mean, did you even know, like, when you finished your first draft of the book?
Oh yeah.
Did you feel like you were done, or did you feel like, okay, there's going to be a lot to change, if that makes sense? I mean, I guess you wouldn't finish if you weren't happy with how it ended, but you know what I mean?
Oh no, great question. I hated it. I think I think every writer or any creative, as y'all know, you're a podcast host. A lot of like editing and work goes into your creation, right? In any type of medium. My first draft, hated it, absolutely. I had a beginning, the end, and people were like, they were so supportive. They're like, it's great, the story's great. There's a lot you need to work on here, here, and here. And I was like, oh gosh, I hate this crap. Like, I need to really work into it because there's so much. And I feel like any author can relate, right? Any writer can relate, any creative can relate. The first draft is always going to be the hardest because it's just, it's your first draft. But now, after going through a lot of revising, after hearing a lot of critical feedback, right, from my, acquiring editors and developmental editors, everything, I feel a lot more confident in where the story is going and where it has started in the beginning. But yeah, when I first had the manuscript draft, I was like, I hate this, it's not gonna get published. But my publisher was like, no, we're gonna greenlight this and we're gonna go forward with it, and we just need to revise a lot of work needs to go into it, but there's potential here, and it's going to be, the story that you want it to be. And right now, in the revising process I'm in current state, it is where I am seeing it as where I want to be. Like what I saw in the beginning, where it's like the beginning, the end, I was like, ew. But now I'm like, okay, it's a lot really great. A lot of the work that I'm going to be sharing with, I'm going to share with my beta readers. Margot's a beta reader, so you'll be seeing a little sneak peek, everything. So a lot of the beta readers will then see those sneak peeks and of those chapters, and also provide feedback from their standpoint as well. So I'm very excited to hear what everyone thinks of the early chapters and stuff. But yeah, Lydia, great question. That was, in the beginning, I hated it. And I'm just coming from an honest author. And I think that's something we should all hear, is like, we're not all going to like our first draft, right? So it's the first draft to begin with. It's supposed to be rewritten.
Yeah, we re-recorded this podcast, the first episode, 3 times.
I hear ya.
We understand, okay?
Yes, I hear ya. That's okay to do, right? You can keep going, keep revising until you're comfortable with the type of craft, and you get better as you keep going, right? So
100%. Yeah. That's part of the creative process, is failing.
Exactly.
You have to fail in the creative process.
You have to.
And then it brings you like to new realizations,
Agreed.
to better work. Failing is just, it's part of it. You got to accept it, and then you got to keep going.
Yeah, and that was definitely.
And we get in in high school and college too, when teachers would be like, don't you dare turn in that first draft. It's like, oh, done with it. But no, it could get better even back then.
Yeah, absolutely right. There's always ways to improve. Always ways. And I try to see it as an opportunity, right? So there's definitely a lot of working on myself, because I don't like, I'm not really that good in taking feedback and critiques. But that's the part of growth, is being uncomfortable and learning to accept those failures. So I agree with both of you wholeheartedly.
Yes.
So what's been the hardest part so far?
Yeah. Definitely the hardest part has been revising, rereading my content, and rewriting stuff from scratch, starting over. That's been the most brutal part of writing a book. And oh gosh, like, I just feel like it's so hard, easier said than done. And it just, because it's like painful, you put in so much work into a draft, and then sometimes you just have to start from scratch, and you just have to do it to get to where you want to go. And for me, it's been kind of like a cocoon process, right? Every time I'm just growing to the butterfly that I need to be for the book to be in. It has been very hard for sure. That has been the hardest part. Okay, yeah, sorry for the background change. My laptop was about to die, so I wanted to come inside and just, plug it in. Would not have wanted the interview to end because it's technical difficulties, but we're in now. We just got a new scenery, but still the same.
And we love the new scenery. It's beautiful. A little flower, a little pink. We love it all. So beautiful. So speaking of beautiful, we talked about what like the most difficult part of writing the book has been so far. But what has been the most rewarding, like your favorite part, right, on this journey?
Right. Honestly, I would say the most rewarding has been the messages from the potential readers, right? I've been getting so many like messages, emails, DMs just from like people who are excited to read the book, who have pre-ordered. And that to me, that just shows like my purpose for the book is happening, right? I'm creating these bridges for people to really connect with their culture, whether that's with their families, with themselves. Like for example, I had these two sisters, right? They're half Indian, half Filipino, and they reached out to me and they were like, oh my gosh, we're so excited to read this book. Growing up, they've never felt like very close to their heritage or their Filipinx roots. And to see a story like this, it's an opportunity for them to reconnect back with their other side of their other culture. And I thought that was just so beautiful to hear, right? Like now this is serving as a purpose that I'm connecting with these two sisters right, on a personal level. And I'm also helping them and sharing, right, our culture together as Filipinx people, right? And I understand because I'm the same way. Sometimes, this is an opportunity for me to reconnect with my ancestry, my heritage that I had no idea about, right? And so I think it's just an opportunity at a standpoint. Of course, early, the best part is the people in the LGBTQ community, right, who are getting a lot of gender fluid character, right? Learning more to see that there's LGBT plus themes happening in the book. That's just a cool thing to hear from folks who are excited and really, they can't wait to see a beautiful story like that. So that's been the best part is the people, right? Not even the writing. It's like the readers. The readers are why I'm writing in the first place. I want this book to serve its purpose, which is to create bridges, right? Not isolate, create bridges. So.
I love that.
Yes.
And I know, I feel like as long as we've known you, you've always been busy and had a lot going on. But how has that been? I mean, you mentioned your full-time job with PepsiCo.
Yeah.
How have you balanced your scheduling with everything, with writing the book and working?
Time management, I'm gonna tell you that now, my skill in that has grown exponentially, I would say. But my mental health has not. But I mean, like the reward for it is that it's worth it, right? This book I'm investing in, the stress that's coming for it, it's worth it. I'm investing in people. I'm investing in a story that's gonna change something, hopefully in society and culture. And I've just been very, to be honest, exhausted, but also excited. It's like a weird feeling. Like I'm exhausted day by day because I'm working pretty much like I think I mentioned this earlier. I'm working 9 to 8 most days for my full-time job, and it's not their fault. It's coronavirus, right? It's just you're gonna have to deal and adapt with the new nature of the world. And there's no playbook script with how to deal with such things, right? But for me, I think it's also given me the opportunity to be a leader within my current role where I'm like managing, 2 markets now. I have the opportunity to really, have a lot of responsibility very early on in my career. So yeah, I am working 9 to 8, but I am also growing as a professional and individual within my field of business. And I'm learning a lot from that, right? How I can become a leader, how I can manage my time from my full-time role, and then also investing it into right my work and my craft and my artist craft, right? Being a creative too. I don't want to put that aside just because I'm working a full-time role, right? It's who I am, right? I can't I'm never going to give that. And like I said last year, I would regret in 10 years is giving up my passions, which is to be creative, which is to create stories that make an impact in people's lives and create positive changes. So it has just been a lot of organizing, focusing weekends right now, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to dedicating to my book, whether that's writing, revising, researching, or doing, podcast interviews with great people such as Popsters, right? And so for me, I think that has just been a lot of time priority for myself and my craft and my work. But definitely has impacted me emotionally because I feel like I haven't had time really to spend with my family and my friends. But the true people who have been in my life understand, right? Like y'all understand, you're my friends, right? You understand like booked and busy doesn't mean that I'm not in your lives, right? That I don't care. I just have to prioritize
Yep.
these things. So there's deadlines, and I need to make my dreams come true, and that means sacrificing time with some people.
Say
And
it
it's no
louder.
hard feelings,
Say it louder.
right? It's no hard feelings, and you just gotta, as we grow as people, as adults into this world, we have to, if we want to chase our dreams. And the people that do love us and care about us will support us in our work, right? They will support us in those sacrifices. Let's understand it's not forever. It's not forever.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
part of growing up. Oh, wow.
It is. It is a part of growing up.
But you,
Yeah.
I just have to say, you touched on something I know Margot and I wanted to touch on, in that you are one person, but you aren't going to do one thing. You have so many talents and so many things to offer the world. And I know even Margot and I talk about, Margot's passion is theater, and hopefully she'll have a long career in that, but she's also podcasting.
Period.
I'm podcasting, but also love
Yes.
politics and that
Right.
whole thing. So it's like you are very passionate about business, and you're into supply chain marketing. That's what the work you do, but that's not your only thing. You have this book that you're writing. So we love that you are investing in yourself and exploring all your passions and just showing the world that you do not have to do one thing and that be it for the rest of your life. So keep it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You only have one life, right? Why would you think about it, y'all? You only have one life. Why would you want to suppress another side of yourself to, you know what I mean? Like, you might as well try. And if, like we talked about, if you fail, whatever, you failed, but at least you tried and you're happier. You're happy you're doing so. Yeah.
Like you said you would regret not trying to write that book, not necessarily writing it, but not trying.
Yeah, I would regret it fully. So.
Jamie, you're dropping so much wisdom on us right now that I needed to hear. You don't even know how badly I needed to hear all this. And then this whole time I'm just like, yes, it's so true. It's just, you got to explore all facets of yourself. If you want to be creative, make time for it. And sometimes that means sacrificing other things. And it's not necessarily fun to sacrifice other things, but in the end, it's worth it if you're working towards a goal, which you are, and your dreams are literally coming true for you right now, which is incredible, and it's amazing. Absolutely. And you just rock.
I love y'all.
Yeah. You touched on this a little bit already, but if you had advice to give to somebody who was thinking about writing a book, starting a writing journey, and didn't know where to start, what advice would you give them?
That is a very great question. And this is the advice I've also given to a lot of people because I started this journey. So many people have been inspired to also move forward with writing their books. I've had people reach out to me who want to publish their poetry, people who want to publish a children's book, right? People who want to just write a novel or write something. And the advice I give to them and to everyone is to just start, just do it. Just write. If you don't have anything right now, just write something. Just go for it, right? It doesn't have to be the best, but as long as you have something there and you started something, it's going to turn into something beautiful. The biggest thing I would say is there's a lot of different avenues and a lot of ways to go about publishing, right? So do your research, right? Especially if you're doing something in poetry, if you're doing something in children's book, all those types of literatures are going to be specific markets and specific avenues. So you don't have to go about it the way that I'm doing it, which is like a hybrid publishing route. Some people want to go through traditional publishing, and that's fine, right? So just do the research. You have to be able to be willing to put in the work, right, to do it and know what goes into going there. For me, I thought hybrid publishing was just a better route because one, it's just, cost effective in that sense where I'm a new author. I don't, have the leverage to really work with a traditional publisher or find an agent or have the money, right, to hire an agent and hire something to do that. So it just works for me as a new starting creative where I can start somewhere, right? And now I have a product where after this is done, if I want to write a second book or write a new series or something, I can have my book and really start a career in being a full-time author if I wanted to. But that's not the only way to go about it. Being an author, being a writer, being creative, there's so many avenues and ways to go about it. You have to put in the time to write what you want, put in the time to research what avenues are going to be the best for you, and to network, very much network with other authors. So for me, my best advice, right, too, is like to be like those other potential people who reach out to me, like as an author, like, what did you do? Finding out, because I didn't know, right? And so why I did this program as well is because I have a network of other authors who are in the same boat, who have been through publishing or in similar situations. So just really those three things I think are like the best advice I would give to anyone who is just wanting to start. So just start is the biggest
Just
one.
do it,
Just do it. Just do it.
And
as
one
Nike says.
right, as Nike. If anyone has any questions about the timeline, Jamie, what would you say in terms of making a deadline? Like, did you come up with that December 2020, or was that something that the publisher came up with?
It was definitely something that the publisher came up with. So again, there's pros and cons to the type of avenues that you decide to do. For me, I decided to do this program because it just worked best for me. But I had a very strict timeline. I knew I needed to publish the book in a year, which is December 2020. And of course, like, they've given me time. It's not something that, I could just like recollect. Okay, worst case though, like if I just feel like my work is not ready to be published in December 20, I can always push back my publishing deadline, but I would have to let obviously all people who pre-ordered the book know, right? Because they paid for a book to be ready in December 2020. So that is something, right? So it's just a lot of communication from not only the publisher standpoint, but for the consumers who bought the book or who are expecting, because I've been marketing it for December 2020. So that has been a lot of pressure from a creative standpoint, where I am pretty much, really dedicating my time to, and I actually have to finish this line by October 16th. That's really my real deadline, because it has to go through copy editing, right? And then takes like, I think like a few months or something to actually go through publishing and then getting it sent out to everyone. So, so the whole works is really, it's really in a month from now. But that's what I signed up for. So the pressure is there, but for me it works because I'm like a deadline writer. I do very well when there's pressure. When there isn't pressure, I'm going to put it aside. Just like, that's who I am. So I knew from the get-go, like I needed someone to really be like, hey, deadline, hey, you need to do this, hey, you need to do that. Because the creativity was already there, right? For me, I don't have an issue. It's really just the standpoint of structure, of the needed timelines, of the needed work with an editor, and my publisher. That was the biggest need from my own standpoint. And they were really driving me to get this completed, to get this project done at a standpoint that was the most successful, which is within that December 2020 deadline. So yeah, but all this depends. Some people, it takes them 3-5 years to even finish their book, and that's fine too. That's totally fine, right? Like, it makes total sense. There's no rush for your process. But for me, I went through the hybrid publishing route, and so that's how it came to be when I signed up for it. So.
Well, Jamie, we are so excited to read this book, to have it out there in the world. So please let the listeners know, let the people know what they can do to help support it, when it's coming out, and when they can be expecting to read this marvelous novel.
Thank you so much, Margot, for introducing that point. So there's definitely a lot of ways to support. So right now, my pre-launch campaign is over. It's done. So there's no way to pre-order it right now, sadly. But don't worry, it's not too late to join the magical family and, join in with Mala and Salam's story, because I know they'd love to have you join them in part of their adventure. So the book is set to publish, like I mentioned, in December 2020. After December 2020, I'm expecting around January 2021, I'll have another outlet for folks to, once it's published, to actually order the copy outside of pre-ordering. And that might be through channels like Amazon, independent booksellers. I don't have those distribution channels established yet and organized yet, but they will be there for sure. So I will have some sort of like online platform where folks can actually buy the completed published book and have their own copy as well, to reading it. And of course, there'll be the ebook copy too, so people can read it online. So in case they don't want a physical copy, totally understand. A way to support now, though, if you're very interested and want to learn more, want to connect with me, I do have an author account page for my book, where I will be, posting mainly highlights or like big, stuff like, of course, like our event today where we had an interview, and just news about the book. So my author account is at JAIMEKO author. I was at Jamie Co author on Instagram. So please be sure to give me a follow. and just like, keep up to date with any type of news that comes with the book. I think I answered all those questions, but if I missed anything, let me know.
Amazing.
No, we got
And
it all.
we'll be sure to link everything, social media,
Yes.
related to the book in our show. So everyone
Thank
will
you so much. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Jamie, thank you so much for just diving into all things Mala and the Mask of Gold.
Oh.
And thank you for being here. And we could not let you go without being a part of some of our final segments. So let's get into it.
Ooh,
So we're going to start with Savage Seconds.
savage. Let's get into this.
We are jumping into our Savage Seconds in 3, 2, and 1.
All right, ladies, gays, and theys, we're going to be talking today about Virgo season. Virgo season is here! And that means, what does that mean? We're going to get our shit together, okay? It's going to be the time this season to really go down, work on ourselves, be the best version of ourselves that we can be, and we're going to leverage that Virgo, that inner Virgo that we all can do.
Jamie, I got to cut you off.
I tried my best.
You might be watching this thinking like, Lydia, what the fuck is going on with your deep hair part? Y'all, I woke up one day, I have 3 pieces of hair up here that are this short. I look like freaking alfalfa with like long hair everywhere else. I need extensions up here. Is that a thing? I don't know, but it's frustrating. So my hair looks.
Okay, Lydia, sorry, but it's my turn. Okay, listen, I love the great outdoors. Wonderful. But why are snakes, spiders, and ticks a thing? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have to walk outside and wonder if I'm going to get Lyme disease. Why can't I enjoy nature without all of these threats to my well-being and to my safety? Thank you.
Oh,
Wow, we did that.
we really do. It goes by fast.
Oh my God. Okay.
Let's go on to our moving forward segment. As we told
Okay.
Jamie earlier, it's all about important issues happening right now and what people can do.
Yes.
So what do we have today?
Definitely today, I want to bring up just the important issues regarding women and especially trans women and especially Black trans women and trans women of color. In recent news today, I've just been seeing a lot of violence happening to women in LA, as we saw on Eden the Doll's Instagram story, where they were attacked by these group of cis straight men who were like attracted to them, but also felt the need to like threaten their life and literally physically assault them. That to me was just like, it's just so painful to watch and so disgusting to see that happening to a community of women who are just existing, right? And I just recently saw also happen in our hometown here in the DMV in DC, a Black trans woman being harassed. And she fought back. She had hands because DC women do not play that. But again, like to me, I think it's so hurtful that that has to happen, right? Like a woman has to fight to survive and fight against like a cis man who's like 3 times her size, right? Her size, and she's literally like out here. It was very powerful to see her defend herself, but at the same time, so painful. Just so disgusting to have that situation even occur and have bystanders, right? That's the worst thing. In both videos, there were people there, bystanders. In the first video in LA, they just laughed and did nothing. And we're recording and instigating, wanting to see the death of a Black woman in the street. And in DC, there were other bystanders there. Like, granted, of course, there were like people like watching, like I think her friends were like there, like rooting for her. So of course, thankfully she wasn't alone. But there were also just groups of people I just saw were just standing there watching the situation happening, watching a woman, literally have to fight a grown man like 3 times her size, right? Like to me, that's just like, it's just so shaky. Like no one here is trying to call for help or just trying to like protect her. And it just, that's the topic I want to talk today because it's so relevant. It has always been relevant. But I think in particular for trans women, the violence that they face on a day-to-day for just existing and being in the streets for doing nothing. It's just so painful to see. So I hope, people can, become more educated to see if there's ways they can support trans women, whether that's donating to funds, right? In the DC area, if you want to, you can donate to Casa Ruby. They're a DC, very local nonprofit in DC that helps to like provide homes for trans women, especially of color, or Black Latinx within the DC area, or just doing their part to raise awareness of these types of things. I love when celebrities use their platform to call out, and especially if it's like cis men calling out other cis men for their shit about it, because again, I think it's at the end of the day, like it's the patriarchy, right? It's because of the way society is driven, and it's how cis men have so much power in this world that we unfortunately live in. They need to do the work. They need to fight for women, for us, for people who are trans, you know, people who are gender nonconforming, and people who are just existing and human, right? And so just like ways that you can assess where your privilege is and just finding ways to support, whether that's sharing, you know, a donation link or sharing the news and everything, and condemning such actions, I think are just ways for that. So that's what I want to talk about for this topic today.
I'm just gonna say it. Trans lives matter. That's what it is.
Exactly. Protect trans lives. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's something really important to talk about. I think it's something that's been going around social media more lately, which is good, raising more awareness to it, but also the violence has been also been more made aware of, and just the fact that the average lifespan of a trans individual is in their 30s.
So scary.
It's insane. It's literally insane that is a true statistic. And I think that everyone, whether you're trans, whether you're straight, whether you're white, whether you're of a minority, like, we all need to do the work together to bring this issue to light and to change the system which oppresses trans people and treats them as though they are not human beings who deserve to live past the age of 35.
Yeah, for sure.
And just to add to that, you know, trans women are women, so it's like we can't fight for women if they're not part of that.
Exactly. Trans women are women, they're human, and I wish more people could see that and continue to fight for women and women in general, right? Because women just so.
We could have a whole podcast on intersectionality, and maybe we should.
I'd love to join. I'd love that. Yes.
We'll have you back on for that. Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jamie.
Absolutely.
My quick thing I'm going to bring up today is just highlighting the fact that right now, even though a lot of people are having time to work on different creative outlets, a lot of artists are really struggling. A lot of artists are out of business. The entertainment industry does not exist right now, and this is a really big financial struggle for a lot of people, especially because the relief packages that were once happening are no longer, you can't get money the same way that you were. So if you are interested in helping artists in need right now, you can donate to the Artist Relief Fund, the Craft Emergency Relief Fund, and Americans for the Arts. Please help people out. I am a theater person. Theater people literally can't work right now. But that is not the only kind of artist that is struggling. So as much as we're gonna support our future author, our author, straight up our author right here, we also want to support those who don't have amazing books coming out right now, and do what you can to help someone out if you have the means to do so. So that's my little plug.
And I just wanted to echo and follow up with that, Margot, because I think, again, like, if anyone can please, you know, help support artists and other creatives. I know for me, like, when I was able to do my pre-order sales, I actually did donate a percentage of my sales to the Black Trans Femmes Collective Fund, which also helps to fund for Black trans femmes who are also in the arts, right? Who are trying to pursue a arts career, arts lifestyle. So I definitely also want to just like echo that. Other organizations as well for those who are looking to donate. But yes, please support creatives, please support artists, because it's been a hard time in the economy right now to find a job. So
we've come to the end where we leave you all with our quote of the day. And I will start us off. My quote, I actually know who said it, a rarity on this podcast, as we know, but my quote is from Rob Hill Sr., who says that my goal is to build a life I don't need a vacation from. Which, you know, we're talking a lot about careers and what we're doing and what we can do, and like, yeah, like that's a vibe.
That's a vibe. That is a vibe.
My quote today is from Vincent van Gogh, and he said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" And I think that has to do with Jaime's journey as an author and with everything we talked about on our podcast today. You know, pursue your dreams, because without your dreams, what does life mean? You know. So.
Beautiful quotes, y'all. These are both beautiful quotes. My quote, just basically echoing what you both said. It's actually a quote from my book. And it's a universal saying. People have said this in very different variations and ways. So hopefully no copyright, right? Hopefully no copyright. It's a quote from a book from one of the characters, basically saying, and just pulling it up, being you is a gift, is it not? Wishes come true to the destined who are brave enough to chase them. So.
Wow.
So, I mean, pretty much what Vincent Van Gogh said, but in that way, right?
But what Jaime Martin Ko said, how about that? Wow. Way to leave us with not just a quote, but a self-authored quote. Wow. See, Mario, everything he says, we're just like,
I know, literally, how much of this podcast episode have I been like, Jaime, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We loved having you. You were amazing. I cannot wait to read this book. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for the world to be able to read it and for you to share your creativity. It is so exciting. What a journey. And thank you so much for coming today.
And oh my gosh, like, thank you y'all so much for having me. I'm so honored to be a part of this podcast and to see you beautiful ladies just being so empowering. And, you know, it's just an honor to be here today and to like reconnect and share this type of story for the viewers listening in. So thank you so much for your time, consideration, and support for my author journey as well. From creative to creative, so.
Creative support creatives.
Yes.
You are more than welcome. Everyone, we hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks.
And that's the show. Stalk us on Instagram at popoffsis.podcast and check out our Pop Off Sis YouTube channel.
We'll see you next time.
Pop off, sis.